The conflict between Israel and Palestine, reignited dramatically on October 7, 2023, is not a sudden rupture. It is a condition that has been developing for millennia. Layer by layer. Generation by generation. To understand it, we must think less like historians. And more like geneticists. Because this conflict is not only written in borders and treaties. It is written in human DNA. Nearly 3,000 years ago, during the 8th century BCE, the land now called Israel and Palestine functioned as a biological crossroads. Populations mixed, separated, migrated, and returned. The kingdoms of Judah and Israel emerged as political expressions of ancient Jewish tribes, bound by shared ancestry, language, and belief. At the same time, coastal populations, often identified in ancient texts as Philistines, inhabited land stretching from present-day Gaza toward Tel Aviv. These were not static groups. They were living populations whose bloodlines absorbed waves of settlers, traders, and invaders. Sacred texts reinforced identity. In the Hebrew Bible, a divine promise of land to Abraham's descendants became more than theology. It became a genetic claim, tying lineage to territory. In 722 BCE, the Assyrian Empire disrupted this continuity. Through forced displacement, Assyria scattered Jewish populations across its empire. This was not just political exile. It was biological diffusion. Jewish genetic identity spread, mixed, and adapted, while still retaining recognizable markers. A century later, Babylon replaced Assyria. Jerusalem fell. Solomon's temple was destroyed in 587 BCE. The Babylonian exile fractured families, organs of society, and cultural memory itself. Then, in 539 BCE, Persia altered the genetic flow once again. Cyrus the Great allowed exiled Jews to return. The rebuilding of the temple restored not only worship, but biological continuity, a reconnection between people and place. Rome arrived in 63 BCE. Under Roman rule, repeated Jewish revolts triggered mass death and dispersion. This diaspora sent Jewish genetic lineages into Europe, North Africa, and beyond. With the rise of Christianity, persecution intensified. Jews were blamed for the crucifixion of Jesus, reinforcing centuries of exclusion. This pressure shaped survival patterns, who married whom, where communities formed, how genes moved. In 638 CE, Islamic rule brought another transformation. Under Caliph Umar, Jews returned to Jerusalem under relative religious tolerance. The region once again became a shared biological space. For centuries, Jewish populations concentrated largely in Europe, enduring pogroms, discrimination, and restricted movement. Meanwhile, under Ottoman rule from 1517 to 1917, Jerusalem saw Jewish population growth. By the 1800s, Jews became the city's largest religious group. They lived as a protected minority, restricted, yet resilient. Their culture survived like a vital organ under pressure. In the late 19th century, a new idea emerged. Theodor Herzl proposed Zionism, the creation of a Jewish state in Palestine. This was not only political. It was biological, an attempt to reunite a scattered people with a geographic core. The 1917 Balfour Declaration and British control over Palestine accelerated Jewish immigration. As populations shifted, tension rose between Arab and Jewish communities. After the Holocaust rewired global conscience, the United Nations proposed partition in 1947. The plan divided land but ignored the deep interweaving of populations already living there. Israel declared independence on May 14, 1948. War followed immediately. Borders changed. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced, creating a refugee population whose descendants carry that trauma biologically and culturally. The decades that followed resembled a chronic condition. Wars in 1956, 1967, and 1973 reshaped territory and intensified occupation. The Six-Day War altered the region's anatomy entirely, placing Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem under Israeli control. Palestinian uprisings, the intifadas, were expressions of collective stress responses. Civil resistance. Then violence. Each escalation etched new scars into generational memory. Peace attempts like the Oslo Accords offered hope but failed to heal the underlying wound. Settlements expanded. Trust collapsed. Gaza became isolated. Blockaded. Its population compressed into a confined biological space. Repeated wars followed. 2012. 2014. 2021. Each conflict damaged infrastructure, families, and long-term health outcomes. In October 2023, the conflict reached another breaking point. A Hamas attack killed over 1,000 Israeli civilians and abducted hundreds. Israel responded with massive airstrikes on Gaza, killing thousands of Palestinians, including women and children, according to the United Nations. This is no longer only history. It is inherited trauma. The story of Israel and Palestine is not just about land or religion. It is about how human populations remember. How DNA carries survival, loss, and identity across centuries. And until that biology of memory is acknowledged, the cycle continues. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more stories where history, science, and humanity intersect.